gonna do what Jay did and get down here. I'm not too loud, am I? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Elizabeth McCourt. I'm a leadership coach and consultant, and it's been amazing being with you all today. I think I just went back to my roots when Paya asked me to come here and do a talk to nonprofits, because I had a very short interlude in the nonprofit world. When I was in law school, I worked with two very progressive environmental organizations, and although I got the dream job offer in Taos, New Mexico, great ski country, I decided to go a more traditional route, and then I moved back and started to be an executive recruiter. But in my research, because I really wanted to give you guys something, I learned about passion and resilience and the grit it takes to work in the nonprofit sector. And that's what I'm hoping to give to you today, is just a little bit of tools for your toolbox on resilience. And I know by working in this sector, most of you have resilience already. I like to think of resilience in the most simplistic terms as either an egg or a rubber ball. An egg obviously has absolutely no resilience, and I found this funny picture about the rubber ball egg. You know, you could smash it against the wall when you're frustrated with things, and it's still going to maintain its shape. And that's the beauty of resilience, is that you fall down, things don't go right, you fail, you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you try again. Which brings me to my favorite part of resilience, is the underdog. My friend, when I was coming here today, I showed him my slides, he goes, you know, you're gonna date yourself by showing that video, right? Because if you're younger than me, you're not gonna know what I'm talking about. But you can appreciate that by virtue of the fact that you work hard, either you're working with money issues or donor issues or board issues or project issues or events, you need to be you're the underdog, and you need to be resilient from that. We all love the underdog story. We love that athlete at the back of the pack who makes it towards the front, wins the race. We love that great idea with no money that becomes this global phenomenon. I'm going to tell you a little about my latest resilience story. So I was going on vacation with my husband, and it's terrible, but we have family in Hawaii, so we were going off to Hawaii.
Hardship.
And it's terrible, I know. But, and even more terrible is that we got one first class upgrade, and I gave it to him because he hates to fly, and I like to fly, he hates to fly. I wanted him to have a really good vacation. So I wasn't sitting that far behind, but at the end of the flight, it's late, it's 10 o'clock by the time we get to Honolulu. And he's waiting for me, and he goes, I really want you to meet this guy. We sat next to each other the whole flight, and this guy was with an organization that I used to do business with in my recruiting, and I still wanted to do business with this organization. And so we had this great talk, what a coincidence, this lovely flight, and we knew tons of people in common, of course, so I was feeling pretty good. And he said, you know, give me your card, I don't have any right now, and I'll reach out to you in a few days. I think, yes, you know, great entree to vacation. So I give him my card, I go along, we have a great vacation, we go try and do a little surfing, enjoy myself, but of course, always in the business mind, I'm thinking, you know, that guy didn't email me yet. So what's going on? But you know, this is not atypical, particularly, Mike knows you're a financial advisor here, that, you know, recruiters, they never call back. So I'm used to recalling people all the time, so I don't worry about it too much. But then I start to think, oh my God, I actually think I could have given him my manicure card. And that's why he's not calling me back. And I'm like, no, impossible. There is no way I would have done this, not me. I'm very organized. And so I don't think of it, but a couple days later, I'm going to get coffee, and I go, let me just check. Apparently, I have given this regional manager, important guy, a free manicure back in New York. And I think, oh my, like how dumb can you be? And I thought, gosh, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna call? Am I gonna apologize? The thing is, I don't even know his last name. So I decide, you know what, I'm gonna call the guy I know we have in common. I have a good relationship with him. I'm gonna tell him who I met and try and figure out who this guy is. And in case he's gonna call and say, who's this crazy gal that gave me her manicure card? He gives me his cell phone, his email, his number, and I decide, you know, if he has a really good sense of humor, we're gonna have a great laugh over this act. And if not, well, I'm just gonna forge ahead. So crisis averted. It's a straight up guy. He doesn't mention it, and I don't know if he ever will, but then we set up a call and we move forward from that. And that is the great part of resilience. And I know a lot of you have probably experienced, maybe not a nail card, but something like that before, that you've done something totally stupid and you've got to save face and stand up, scrape knees and all, and, you know, move ahead. So that's the other thing about resilience is athletes have a great mindset for resiliency. And you don't even really have to be, you don't have to be a professional athlete to appreciate this. But if you have, Olympic athletes, same ability, same size, same speed, same PR, who's the athlete that's gonna win? The athlete with the stronger mind. I mean, it sounds so commonsensical, but it's very true. And I'm also an athlete. I'm a triathlete, and about a year ago this time, I was in the Maryland Eastern Shore to do one of my triathlons that I've done for 3 years. It's a big event. It was gonna take me about 6.5 hours to complete the event. And Eastern Shore is warm. We swim in the Choptank River, so I had a pretty good swim. The Choptank wasn't so choppy that day. I get on the bike, I do my 56 miles, and I'm feeling pretty fantastic. I feel like I'm gonna have a PR, I'm having the best day ever. And then I get ready to shift into my run. And I just like to put it gently, I felt like garbage. And this is actually not so uncommon for being a triathlete, because when you do a long event, sometimes you feel kind of bad. But in this day, I felt so bad and so sick, I thought I was gonna have to drop out for the first time in 10 years. But I decided, if I can make it to that first water station, I can keep going. And then I picked a tree, like that pole over there, and I said, gosh, if I can jog a little bit to that next tree, I can keep going. And I kept on doing that. And I know you guys have probably all done this before in your businesses. Things aren't going so well, and you go, gosh, but if we can just get to this mark, right? If we can just get to this mark, we can keep going. And then along the way, I met some great people who were also having some struggles of the day or just a little bit slower, and we started to work together and thought, okay, if we can both work together, and if I don't stop and you don't stop, then we can move forward. And sure enough, by the end of this race, I bump into this woman, Eileen, who for the past 3 years, I've always bumped into her at the end of this race. She's from the DC area, and we decide that we are going to push each other to the limit and fight through the end together. And I swear, if I didn't have her there, I probably would have cheated and walked. But by the end of the race, we make it to the finish line, and I can't thank her enough. I give her a big hug, and she says the same, that we just never would have made it without each other. And that's the beauty of social connection. If you can work and partner with somebody else or get inspired by somebody else, you help build your own resilience. And I saw a great TED Talk not too long ago. His name is Greg Ells of Cornell University, and it's called Cultivating Resilience, and he does research in this. And he said one of the most important things is that social connection. And for him, he gives the example of his son. His son was born without a limb. And he says every day he looks at his son who does amazing things, and he thinks, man, if he can do all this, then I can do all this too. And so by building the social connection, maybe you've met some people here, maybe some people have similar organizations to yours, struggling in different ways, or maybe one of you is doing something fantastic and you think, gosh, if she can do that, I can do that too. And maybe even connect with that person and ask them what they're doing and help them pull you towards your resilience. And I love that about resilience, because connecting is so very important. And I know the other thing you guys all have, I'm not that familiar with it, but you all have mission statements, right? Everybody here has a mission statement. And I loved the way we started today with Jay. He talked about, in a way, breaking down that mission statement into a few words. There's a lot of words there. But I don't know if you all have done this, the values of your mission statement, if you can pare down your mission statement into 3 to 5 words that are important to whatever your organization is doing, then you can help hone the purpose. You can help keep everyone on point. And then go take it a step further, find out what's important to the members of your team. Maybe one of the members of your team has family importance. And when you're understanding that to them, the importance is both passion for my work and I need to have time with my family and integrity is important. If you listen to the things that are important and just keeping it simple and paring it down to just a couple of words, you can have both empathy and you can build resilience. You build resilience with not only with yourself in your organization, with your team members, and when you do something, you do an event or you do something that it maybe doesn't work out as good as you thought it was going to be, or maybe it turned out fabulously, you can turn around and think, did that support the values, not only the mission, but the values of our organization? If you can utilize that tool, you can help with more resilience. And I know the other thing that happens in this is that you have that voice in your head that's sometimes telling you, don't do this, you're not good at that, who do you think you are? I mean, you have that mindset working. And I like to call it your inner critic and your inner leader. Or maybe like that, I say the devil on your shoulder or the angel on your shoulder that's telling you, this is another trick I love to use. So that devil on your shoulder, like I said, is saying, you can't ask that donor for that much money. You can't go to that group and ask for that. You can't ask that person to help you. Whatever it is, my advice and my suggestion is to get a little silly about it and to articulate who exactly is that voice for you. For me, it's Jabba the Hutt. Some people call it gremlin, some people call it devil. For me, oh my gosh, sometimes I look in the back of the room and I'm like, oh my God, I'm writing or I'm doing something and that voice is booming that I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. And it's, like I said, it's rare the person that doesn't sometimes have this voice. I think I might know one, but it's very rare. Everyone has some version of the voice, maybe not Jabba the Hutt, I hope, but some voice. But the better voice, well first, you gotta say to this voice, my wise friend told me, I love this. She said, oh, thanks for sharing, please exit the room. So, and the silly part is really articulating it. I know it's a little bit funny, it's a little bit silly, but if I see Jabba in the room, and believe me, I know when he's there, I can at least use my skills to get rid of him. But the better person to have in my corner is my inner leader. Or for me, it's my inner superhero. And my best friend sent me this picture, and her name is Mrs. Shazam. And for some people, it's an inner leader. For some people, it's an inner wise person. It could be whatever it is, but when you're going to make a pitch to a client, when you're going to ask that donor for more money, I mean, you need to bring your very best, most powerful self, right? You don't need that voice at Jabba the Hutt in your head. You need to bring, for me, it's like that warrior energy to do it. So, silly as it is, try and think about who that might be for you. And the other thing you can do, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Amy Cuddy and the power pose. Does anyone know that power pose? You like that power pose? So for me, if you can actually, power pose, if you don't know, is you take a stance of power, whatever it is. Like for me, it's usually this. I may or may not have done that in the bathroom before I came out here. But just for fun, everyone, let's do a 7th inning stretch. Stand up for a second. Change the energy, because that's what this power pose does, is it just kind of shifts the energy for what you're doing. And what I'm gonna do, and thank you for all standing up, so I'm not doing it by myself. I'm gonna turn around, and I'm gonna count to 3, so I won't see what you're doing yet, and then go into whatever pose feels powerful to you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, come on! So get expansive. Everyone do a second one. Ready? One more time. 1, 2, 3. Expansive! And sometimes when it raises this. You can sit down. But did you see even how just kind of standing up out of your chair gives you a little bit of energy, kind of gives it a little bit of lift? And just try it out and play with it. Play with recognizing who the gremlin is for Jabba, and play with who your inner leader is, or your wise person, because it could be calmer. It could be calmer than mine, it might not. It doesn't have to necessarily be a warrior. I mean, I know you may or may not this gal. Did you know she has an inner warrior? She has Sasha Fierce. This is Beyonce. Sasha Fierce, she has Beyonce, she has Mrs. Carter. So she's actually articulating that powerful persona when she goes on stage. So maybe if she's doing it and I'm doing it, maybe it's not so silly, and maybe there is something to it. But I think that if you watch that power pose and you just sort of test it out, just see what it might do, see what it might add to your already strong resilience. And the last thing I want to talk about is accountability partners. And I feel like we've had a theme today. A lot of people have touched on this particular thing. Just connecting with other people. And I talked to someone about having a mastermind group, maybe finding someone in this room that you really liked, you enjoyed, that's doing something great with their organization, or something you want to learn about, and connecting with them. But then more importantly, an accountability partner is about finding someone who's going to hold your feet to the fire. Like you say, and this doesn't have to be like a boss employee. There certainly is accountability in that. But someone that's going to say, you're going to say, I have this particular goal. Let's say for me, for example, I want to run a marathon. I don't know why I want to do another one of those, but let's say I want to do that. And I have you as my accountability partner, and I tell you what I'm going to do each week. And this week I go and I say, I'm just too tired. And a friend's going to say, that's okay, of course you're tired, no big deal. No, accountability partner. That's not what an accountability partner is. Accountability partner is not, you're not going to judge me, but I want you to say, hey, but you said you were going to do this. What's going on? You committed to doing this. And a lot of really successful leaders do this. Either another comrade, a connection with someone, they have a coach. That's what I use my own coach for, is to really make me accountable. But you can find it here, with someone here. It doesn't mean you have to talk to them every day. You can talk to them once a week. You can do it by email, but use it for resilience. Make yourself accountable. Another thing I do is I'm very deliberate when I say I'm going to do something, because I shame myself. Like when I talked about the TED Talk, I actually wrote it on a little sticky note and put it in my wallet and didn't tell anyone. I thought that that's something I really wanted to do. And then I started talking about it, and I told my coach that I want to do a TED Talk someday. And I told somebody else, and I was like, I can't even believe I'm saying this. Like, what a wild dream. And then, I'm not going to say this happens from the sky, but you know, lucky people make their own luck. But something came across my desk, and I thought to apply for the TED Talk at SUNY Stony Brook, and I had all the qualifications, and I thought, I have to do this. I have to do this. And so that's, for me, shaming myself by saying it out loud is another way that I build resilience. So I hope that I've been able to give you one little tool, maybe just one thing that you want to play with. Maybe it's your gremlin or Jabba the Hutt, or maybe it's your inner warrior. I mean, train your mind. You don't have to be a professional athlete to train like an athlete. Use that social connection, whether it's here or with someone else, to inspire you. Read inspiring things, read books, connect with other people in your sector. Use the inner leader and inner warrior. And then find an accountability partner. And the interesting thing, I tell you, I'm not a science person, but I did some research to see if I could debunk my theories of resilience, and I found that there's actually a gene for resilience. And so I thought, you're thinking, yeah, it's called the serotonin transporter gene. And I thought, oh, this is great. You can find out whether or not you're resilient or not. But the better news is, it totally doesn't matter. Because whether you have this gene or not, you can build resilience. It doesn't necessarily mean you always have to be positive about it, because people think that resilient people are just only positive people. But resilient people are underdogs, they're scrappy, and they're gritty, just like all of you are. You're coming here to gain more tools for your organizations, for yourselves, for your resilience. So you can build them, and you can make them happen. And that is the beauty of resilience. Thank you. In case you didn't get the names, the top two are the TED Talks I talked about. And then the third woman, I spoke with her on Monday, and I thought she added something special. It's called Resilience Crack Your Shell. And she said the most important thing is gratitude. So I thought that was really great. Yes, if anyone has any questions. Want a power pose again?